residents living in either in the Liberstad center or in the town nearby. Because we have some of our members, they just, instead of waiting to start building a cabin up in the forest, they just bought farms and houses in the village close by. So it's about 20 people living there permanently now. In the council, I think we are either 4 or 5 now. It's me and John and one of the residents who's been a member since the beginning. And I think there's one more, I don't remember right now.
I see. Very cool. So it's quite small from what I'm saying, but the land itself is quite developed, as per the presentations I've seen. So, what is the current state of the property in terms of infrastructure development?
Yes, that's a good question. So one of the things I'm a little bit surprised is that nobody have actually started building any cabins in the forest yet. It's been open for people to start developing if they wanted to. We have some people who have sort of started doing a little bit on their plots, but nobody has sort of built any real cabins at the moment. In terms of the infrastructure in the city center, we've done a lot of things over the 7 years. We blasted up some mountains. We're starting building the road up to the cabin area. We started developing it used to be a chicken house, like eggs. That's the biggest building there. We renovated that into an event center for 500 people.
Nice.
And then COVID hit, so we just stopped developing that, and we started working on something called Granbaren. This is sort of a restaurant and bar and stage where we can have about 150 people. There we also have the brewery where we're making beer and other things, mead. And then, so that's where we gather and socialize in that building. We also are developing the cabin, no, not cabin, it's called, the area where we have RVs, caravans, and so we expanded that just recently. The utilities company did some improvements, so we were able to actually remove a high voltage wire that went over our Anarchy Park. So we put it in the ground now. And we installed some extra circuits, so we get a dedicated electricity now for the camping area. That was the word I was looking for earlier. So the camping, and then we started working. We made the foundation of a building called the Gate, which will be in the first floor. It will basically be a toilet, and then we will have like a medical emergency care room, both an office and a separate room, which is where there's going to be a bed and shower and toilet for someone that needs that, and we have some living quarters above that as well. So that we started working on. We also did put down water pipes between some buildings, and I guess right now we are in January, February, we'll start chopping down more of the forest, because that's basically, you usually chop down trees in the winter time in Norway because the trees are emptied of water.
Oh yeah.
They dry faster.
Yeah.
And then we had some people moving around. One of the guys that was living in the apartment, he moved into one of the caravans, and the other guy moved back in there. And so then there's always things going on. It is obviously, we would love to have more people who could come up, help, contribute, and do more stuff, because most of it is done by John now. Yeah.
Do you have any machinery that you have on the land to be used, like the heavy load machinery? I think I saw pictures. I wasn't sure if it's rented.
So we have machinery to make firewood.
Nice.
We have like three tractors and use, and we have this big dump truck, Volvo. It's like 45 ton, and it's 60, 70 ton when you fill it up with rocks. We have 2 excavators as well, a big 29 ton with belts. And I had a startup for a few years, sold my shares when I quit there, and then I used that money to buy an additional excavator for Liberstad.
Wow, I
I have,
see.
have another one. So that's super fun using that.
I don't know why I asked it, but that was one of my highlights of your presentation. It's like, here's our machines. And okay, nobody's really speaking about this, you know. Okay, great. Regarding the water system, where the water is coming from and where does it go?
Yes, so we have an on the top of the property we have a small lake, and we actually have pipes going from that lake down to Liberstad Center. I think it's about 100 meters in from the top to the bottom there. We don't use that water for drinking right now or anything. It's going to be used for farming, at least. We're also looking into potentially having a small hydro generator based on that source. We have a deep well in the city center. That's where most people get their drinking water. It's a fairly good drinking water.
Nice.
And John's house, it came with a surface well. I have a cabin that is sort of about 1,000 meters away from Liberstad city center. I have like a surface well. I just use it for washing dishes and showering. I don't use it as a drinking water. It's more like marsh water. But I go to Liberstad to get the drinking water. And then we also have a swamp at our neighbor, which sort of runs through the city center, where we're building like a small lake. And all of this water ends up going down to Mandal River. And so I know there's a lot of water that aggregates sort of below us at the neighboring plot. And I know that he has applied for building a hydro generator down there. I know he might potentially want to sell it with this right to build it. That's a potential for the future for us to have more off-grid electricity. Because right now we're connected to the grid, and the grid in Norway is fairly stable and good. So it's like we don't have a big need to go offline right now, but off-grid, I mean. But we have a very big diesel generator that used to be like the backup for the chicken house.
Okay.
Because if the chickens was without electricity for a short time, they would all die. So we have that as a backup, and eventually we will have more solar power as well.
Yes. Do you have, I wouldn't call it a fear, but a potential challenge of the government looking at what you're doing, not being happy with it, and turning off electricity from you guys?
There's no way they're going to turn off the electricity.
Okay.
It's not a human right, but it's close to a human right.
Yes.
So I used to work for the utilities in Norway, so I know a little bit about the rules and everything around that. And,
nice.
You're gonna it's a bit different in a farm. And the farm is not run as a company right now, but companies in Norway doesn't have the same protection as a regular citizen. But it's you can avoid paying your electricity bill for quite a while before it's actually shut off.
Yeah.
In Norway.
Okay.
But there's no way they it is also a separate thing, you know. It's even though the electricity company is owned by municipalities and the state in Norway, it still operates as a private company. So it can't turn off like the government, the municipality can't use that as a threatening power.
Very cool to know. Yeah, awesome. Tell me
other
about
than that,
yeah.
But other than that, though, they're following our development, and they've had a few inspections coming up to us. We've been fairly open with them, allowing them to come and everything.
Nice.
But after the last inspection, they were just they had a new guy. They was a lawyer. Had a private practice before, probably didn't go that well, so he started working for the municipality instead. So he came up there, he wanted to show his powers. And after that meeting, we just sent them a letter and made a public statement that we're not gonna, at least not do anything with this guy anymore, but also that we don't want to have any more inspections and everything. We haven't done like we've restrained ourselves a lot in terms of development. If we didn't have fear for the municipality at all, we would have done a lot more.
Oh.
But right now we're doing things within the regulations and within the laws to not get in too much trouble. But we need to we can't continue doing that forever, right? Because we have some plans and sort of how to get sovereignty for Liberstad fully and completely. And it involves, amongst other things, that John will resign his citizenship of Norway.
Wow.
So he won't have any passports or citizenship at all anywhere. And then he will claim this land as his ownership with the documentation of he's been living there. He has documentation that he purchased it, blah, blah. And so we will see how that goes, because there's so many ways that if the government really wants to shut us down, they can do it tomorrow. They can just go in and say that this and this building is no longer a storage building. It is something else, like an entertainment room or something. And then they increase the property tax.
Oh.
Right. So you can imagine if you're building this like free city for a goal is, I don't know, or goal, at least stated goal has been like 1,500 people.
I see.
1,500, that's massive success. But if you have 1,500 people there and